With the fives, we come halfway through this series of looking at the 10 numbers of the minor arcana. The previous one was the 4, was all about Jupiter establishing something really rock solid that's not going to go anywhere. It's by its ipseity, it's going to stay there. It's the castle on top of the hill. It doesn't have to do anything. It's just there. It broods. You know it's there. Nothing needs to be said. That's a kind of point where something has to change, and it's not going to change simply or easily. Something more drastic has to happen. And this is where we come on to the fives, and the fives are kind of scary. The 5 of the sephirah, the 5th sephirah is Geburah, and it is ruled by Mars, and Tauris have a bit of a problem with this one. They shouldn't do, because you need change. You know, earthquakes destroy things, but they also create new lands. Volcanoes destroy things, but they create fertility and generate new things that are going on. It's a fire thing. You know, fire can burn everything down, but also if you don't have fire, you can't cook. And by cooking, of course, you transform the food anyway. So who's to say it's good or bad? So here are the fives. You have the 5 of Wands strife. And now we've moved on to a different side. Okay, we're into the second side. So this is Leo, and the card ruling Leo, of this decadence of Leo, the first decade of Leo, is Saturn. Okay. Then we have 5 of Cups. Now we're into Scorpio, and it is Mars ruling Scorpio. Mars ruling its own sign. Then the 5 of Swords, disappointment, defeat rather. Next one, disappointment. And we have Venus ruling Aquarius. And then the 5 of Dis, worry. So now we're into Taurus. So these signs: Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Taurus are the fixed signs. So there's the triplicity. You start something, the cardinal signs from the equinoxes and the solstices, they create something new. The fixed signs stabilize things. They kind of keep it in order. They just hold on to things. We had that in the 4s, but now we're in the 5s. And the 5s are all about everything going wrong. So there's always this kind of tension between the energies of keeping one thing there and one thing. One of them will dominate, okay, and then it will change again. So here's what Crowley says. So here's what Crowley says about the 5s. And the first thing he says in the Naples arrangement. What's that? The Naples arrangement? I hear you say. You don't know that? Well, if you have the Book of Thoth, on page 32, there is the Naples arrangement. Now we've gone through so far with the 4s, comes to the 4s, there's stability and order. And the Naples arrangement is Crowley's redefinition of the Tree of Life. And to do that, he's using geometry and mathematics in a way that the Tree of Life with its symbols doesn't have. So with the 5s, he's talking about transformation, change of the established order, and this is the new order of the Naples arrangement. Okay, so what is the Naples arrangement? It essentially is 10 points with 3 zeros on the top. So I'll go through up until the 5th point, okay, because we're doing the 5s anyway. The first thing is 6 to 1 equals 0. Now in Hebrew gematria, 6 to 1 is the number of Ayin, which means nothing. Aleph Yod Nun, nothing. Then the second one is 61 plus 146 equals 0 as undefined in input space. So 6 to 1 is Ayin is nothing. 146 comes to Sof, Ein Sof. So this is Ein Sof, Ein Sof, Ein Sof 4, which are the 3 things that go above the Tree of Life as a way of justifying 0, because they didn't have it in that time, you see. So the third one, 61 plus 146 plus 207 equals 0. That's Ein Sofer, or is Aleph Val Resh, 207, as a basis of possible vibration. So nothing, space, the basis of possible vibration. And then we come to the number one, which is the point, which is the aces. Do you remember I said the aces are space? They are not the elements themselves. This is where people go completely wrong on the whole subject. So the point is positive yet indefinable. You have a blank piece of paper, there is nothing on it until you put a dot, and then that dot kind of defines the whole space around it. For number two is the point, distinguishable from one other. A blank piece of paper, put one dot, put another dot. Now there's two, and you can see them. There's two dots, but you can see them. Three is the point defined by relation to two others. Dot, dot, now I have a third one. You have a triangle, okay? Goes a bit funny on looking at the screen for myself. Basically it's that. So that is how you define things. That's when the threes you come on to the child as the manifestation of the mother and the father. And then you have the abyss, which is between these levels. And the abyss is between the ideal and actual. The ideal is spiritual, the actual is something, the reality that you can see. And then it comes to the fourth one, which is the point, defined by three coordinates. If you have three coordinates, dunk, 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 okay, and a fourth point somewhere else, then you actually have matter, a materialization, it's a solid. And then the fifth one is motion, in brackets time. Okay, the womb. So he's kind of, the womb is something that gestating, for only through motion and in time can events occur. So with the fours, we were talking about stability and non-change, and everything just stays exactly the same. And we don't want to change things, everything's hunky-dory, it's fine, you're happy where you are, but actually there's this kind of rottenness that kind of creeps in. Is that all there is left? I want more, but you don't want to change it, you don't want to upset the apple cart. But with the fives, it's gonna happen. No choice about it. The fives scare tarot readers because it's getting out of this comfort zone that you're in. So what is Crowley actually saying about the fives? Where are we? Okay, four fives. In the Naples arrangement, which we know we've looked at, the introduction, and now he goes on to define a bit more about the fives, because before we didn't have that, because now he's moving on from the Kabbalistic tree of life as we know and love into the Naples arrangement. The introduction of the number 5 shows the idea of motion coming to the aid of that of matter. Matter has become enlivened and quickened. It has a life within it. It's not dead. This is quite a revolutionary conception. It's not a conception as well. There's a fertility, creative, sexual thing going on here. The result is a complete upset of the statically stabilized system, which is what the fours are. Now appear storm and stress. Then it says, this must not be regarded as something, quotes, evil. The mutual feeling about it is really a little more than the reluctance of people to get up from lunch and go back to the job. In the Buddhist doctrine of sorrow, this idea is implicit, that inertia and insensitiveness must characterize peace. The climate of India is perhaps partly responsible for this notion. And you can see here that Crowley is rejecting this idea. The adepts of the White School, of which the Tower is a sacred book, news to you, news to me, cannot agree to such a simplification of existence. Every phenomenon is a sacrament, everything is holy, everything is spiritual, even matter. For all of that, a disturbance is a disturbance. The 5 of Wands is called strife. So really, the whole kind of, the bit I've read there, is his commentary on the 5 of Wands strife. Now we go to the 5 of Cups, disappointment. As is only natural, because fire delights in superabundant energy, whereas the water of pleasure is naturally placid, and any distribution of ease can only be regarded as misfortune. You're not really doing anything, oh God, it's going wrong, I'm really lucky, I'm really always unlucky, things go wrong for me. Then we have the 5 of Swords. It's particularly troublesome. The card is called defeat. There has been insufficient power to maintain the armed peace of the 4. That 4 of the Earth truce, where everything is kind of, there's 2 armies and they're equally balanced. They maintain the status quo. Then over time, one or the other, the armies weakens or it becomes flabby, doesn't sort of do the drills properly, and even though they look like they have the thing, actually they just become paper tigers. This must mean defeat. For the original idea of the sword, the quality is actually broken out. So now, before there was kind of Mexican standoff, no one saying anything, it's actually coming out into the open. For the original idea of the sword was a manifestation of the result of the love between the wand and the cup. The wand is father, 2. The cup is Bina, 3. The sword is the son, the product of the mother and the father. It is because the birth had to express itself in the duality of the sword and the disc that the nature of each appears so imperfect. You know, mummy and daddy get together and have a baby, and it's a boy or a girl, and they're really happy, but then they kind of think, well, we really need another to balance things up. If you have a boy, we need a girl. If you have a daughter, we need a son. It's that kind of idea that's going on. And then the 5 of discs. The 5 of discs is an equally evil case. Now it's interesting because he's kind of saying that the 5 of wands and the 5 of cups weren't really that evil. Now he's decided that the 5 of swords, because they're imperfect, and the 5 of discs, because that is also imperfect too, because they're kind of the son and the daughter thing that's going on here, is an equally evil case. The soft quiet of the 4, the castle on the hill overlooking the domain, keeping control, you can't miss it. It's a symbol of power, just has to sit there, has been completely overthrown. The card is called worry. Worry is the idea of strangling, as a sheepdog worrying a dog worrying sheep. All those kind of things that go on. The economic system is broken down because before they're keeping everything under control, and now they're losing the whole they're losing the plot basically. There's anarchy and people don't want to pay their taxes, a bit like Robin Hood, all that kind of stuff. The discs being as they are, stolid and obstinate as compared with the other weapons, for the revolution serves to stabilise them. There is no action, at least not in its own ambit, that can affect the issue. So it's kind of going on within itself. It's not really going anywhere, it's just messing about, just kind of causing problems within itself. It's a bit of a disaster of its own making.